So courthouses are places where you go get your rights violated, your rights taken away as you look at the beautiful American flag. So America's courthouses are shitholes where you go get your rights taken away. So as you think about a courthouse, think about how disgusting they are. We're going to talk about that this morning. Symbols of public corruption. There's one in every city and county. Your county courthouse or your city courthouse, places of public corruption set up to violate your rights. And that's what we're going to talk about, disgusting courthouses that are shitholes. So come on in. Welcome, welcome. Charles Van Morgan Show. We're talking about your local county courthouse this morning. As you go look at them, maybe drive by, they're disgusting places of public corruption. Places designated and designed not to uphold the Constitution, but to strip your constitutional rights away from you. If you will notice, when you walk in the front door, they have several officers, metal detectors and scanners that you have to go through, and they strip your guns away. If you have any guns, you're not supposed to have any guns in a courthouse. They strip your guns away. And any weapons that you have, and people understand that because you don't want violence in the courtroom. But that's not the only thing they strip from you when you walk in that courthouse, because they're getting ready to strip your rights away from you, your legal constitutional rights. A judge is getting ready to teach you the business. That's where you go to pay and lose every time in front of a Tennessee judge, most of the time, because they get your money that way. They get more of your money because the judges in Tennessee make a living off finding you guilty. Because if they find you not guilty, there's no court fines and court cost, and part of that court fines is set aside for the judicial retirement. So they find a hell of a lot of people guilty so they can get a hell of a lot of retirement. They have an incentive to rule against you in Tennessee courtrooms, and where they do it is at their shithole, at their courtroom, and they do it every day. So those places are designated places set up to violate your rights. And that's where your case is going to be decided against you. And for people that don't think you'll ever end up there, you say, I fly right and play by the rules. I got a little message for you. That doesn't make any difference. You may still be there. And you say, well, the rich, powerful, elite people have to go there too. And no, they don't. That courthouse, that outhouse where you get your constitutional rights stomped on is set up for you, set up to take your rights away in that courthouse. That's what those courthouses are for. They're not symbols of justice. They're places where the dirty's done against you, the mass populace of Tennesseans. And the rich people don't go there. If they do, it's for a very limited period of time, and usually they don't even have to show up. Their attorney does, and their cases get decided in the governor's mansion, who picks the judges. So yeah, I don't know why she's stopping for. Friend or foe, I don't know. So like, share, comment. Have to be careful out here. A lot of people don't like me telling the truth. They might be related to a judge, I don't know, but I got a right to say this. They tell you what they think in their unjust, unlawful opinions every damn day, if they even put them out on time. They don't have to abide by the law, and they don't, because who's going to punish them? Well, I'm getting information out about them. But the rich and powerful people don't go to court. Their case is worked out before they even get there in the governor's mansion. The governor knows who his people are. These judges know who the governor's people are, and they don't even have to go to court. Most of the time their attorneys take care of their wrong. And how dare the police officer even put them there? They must have been mistaken in the first damn place. When it happens, they don't go to court. They don't go to that place designed to take away your rights. Their attorney goes in there, explains who they are in the back hallways to the judges, and it gets wiped away. Those courthouses are not for the rich people. Their cases get decided in fancy ballrooms at these fancy hotels where these Supreme Court justices meet, and where the press is not allowed in. If you are, you'll get arrested. Ask some of the press members. That's where their cases are decided, behind closed doors in big, high, fancy buildings. Not in the outhouse, the shithole courthouse that hasn't been replaced in years and years, because they're not going to replace it, because that's where they go to drag you in to mistreat you. So if you've never heard this kind of stuff before, I'm not surprised. Charles Van Morgan, you're listening to unbridled news. I'm not bridled by the corrupt system. I'm a unlicensed attorney. I have a JD, passed the bar twice, and they won't let me defend you in a courtroom, so I'll defend you out here and tell you the business, tell you the truth, and what we can do about it. These courthouses are symbols of pathetic, where you have to go to get treated unjustly, unconstitutionally. The rich people don't go there. Their cases get decided in the governor's mansion, you know, where they live in wealth, or in fancy ballrooms at big, fancy, expensive hotels that you couldn't afford. That's where their cases get decided. They don't get decided in a courtroom. Hell no, they don't go there. That's for you. That's for us. That's for the mass populace of Tennessee to go in there and get your rights taken away from you. These courthouses, they're outhouses. You know, I'm so old that when I was growing up, we didn't have a restroom. We had an outhouse back behind the house. And that was back in the 60s. I'm not that old, but a lot of people, and I got a lot of fans, y'all know what an outhouse is. They don't have those anymore, I don't guess, but I was raised where we had an outhouse in the backyard. It's just like a shed, worse than a shed, and it's got a seat and a hole in the ground. And that's what a courthouse is. It's where the government goes to shit on you. And you don't see rich people in there. They got big fancy ballrooms and the governor's mansion to get their case decided. That courthouse is for you to get your guns and your rights stripped away. That's what that's all about. That's what the topic of discussion. If you don't think you're going to go there, got a message for you. You think you fly right, like you think that matters. Let me give you a little education from somebody who knows what they're talking about. I also have a Master of Arts in Criminology from the University of Tennessee. And I know what the hell I'm talking about. And like many of you, you don't have to have a JD or a criminology degree to understand the system is crooked as hell. The rich get richer and the poor get prison. Drive by that courthouse. That's where they do their dirty deeds. The most sickening places on the planet in the United States of America are in those courthouses. That's where the dirty deal goes down, and it's against you almost every time. That's the way it is. And most people know that. You don't have to have a master's degree in criminology to figure that out. You say, where's all those people? Defendants in those big fancy suits, they're not in there. They're in the governor's mansion working a deal out for their crimes before they even get there. So subscribe to this channel, Charles Van Morgan. If you're not already subscribed, check and see if you are. You might get unsubscribed. Not by me, but YouTube might do that. So subscribe to the channel. You want to hear this stuff, the real business, the real deal, the real unbridled news anywhere else. This stuff you need to hear for your own safety, protection, well-being. Because I damn guarantee you putting this stuff out against the dirty judiciary makes it very unsafe to me. Those are very dangerous people, and they're sick and pathetic. And I know what I'm talking about. Anybody that's lived a long time knows what I'm talking about. You don't have to have a big fancy degree to know how dirty the justice system is. It's an injustice system. And even our civil courts are corrupted as hell. It's all about money and dragging it out of you. And they do it at these courthouses. Their system's set up to defraud you, to steal from you. And we're going to talk about the many ways they do that. And also from a sociological educated perspective. In one of those courthouses, you're getting ready to get your rights, your money, and maybe your freedom stripped away. That's what they do there. You're not going to win anything. You're going to take what they tell you to take at gunpoint, and you're unarmed. And if the judge wants to talk to you like a dog, if he feels giddy, he'll do that. And if you complain on them, how they act in that courthouse, they'll use that complaint, not to investigate the complaint, to get your damn name, to find out where you live, where you are, so what they can punish you more. Now, if you think I'm broadcasting live from Russia and talking about fearing Putin, you know, Russia may be a lot better than our country in a lot of ways. At least you know what you're dealing with there. You threaten Putin, and you will get, so if we can get across this road real fast, you'll get poisoned food or you'll fly out of an airplane. And people know that. You don't go against him. In America, there's a facade we got. You can go against the government in America. You can speak out against the justice system. You can go in a courtroom, specifically a Tennessee courtroom, and you can get fair justice under the law. You believe that joke? Well, you might want to hang on, because I'm gonna educate you a little bit. That you won't get justice. You'll get your rights taken away. And if you think you ain't gonna go, let me discuss that topic. If you think you're gonna fly right and abide by the law and not offend any of these rich SOBs, if they need you for a number, if they got an empty jail cell, you don't have to do a damn thing wrong. They'll even reach across state lines and come and get you while you're at work, living your life, abiding by the law. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter if you're abiding by the law. They'll still come and get you. And I'm trying to protect people by telling you the business. The business is you're going down and they're going to walk on your body, take your pocket while they kick you down on the ground and do the worst atrocities that you would think that people aren't capable of that much evil. Let me tell you, they damn sure are. You think, well, they fly a Christian banner. They won't do that. Yeah, they fly that Christian banner to throw you off a little bit, don't they? Those are some of the worst people that do that, and nothing against Christianity. If they truly accept the Lord Jesus Christ in their heart and confess their sins, but the way they live, I don't think they do. I think they fly that Christian banner because they want you to fly it, because while they're rape, robbing, and stealing your children too, if you care, they're doing that to your children too, and they will your grandchildren. So you might need to listen. If you think they care because they fly that Christian banner hoping you'll be a Christian, turn the other cheek because they think that you believe that while somebody's doing that stuff to you, you ought to turn the other cheek and be Christian about it. And that's not what the Christian Bible I read teaches. Jesus turned over the tables in the temple, people using the church and rules and laws to rob people, and they're using rules and laws in the state of Tennessee specifically, this is ground zero, to rob you blind. As bad as you think it is, it's 100 times worse. I've got experience, 18 years in the court system, putting people that were dangerous to you and even trying to be easy on them, had very little trouble. Putting people in jail that stole your money, enforcing the law against everybody equally that was a danger to themselves and other people. And we got a fan here. Don't bite me. I don't think that dog likes me. So yeah, that's all right. That doesn't bother me. I like dogs. So yeah, we got earlier than I usually. I mean, I got a little bit early today. So subscribe, share. Let's get this video, break my record of 100,000 people listening to the criminal justice system. It's not, I don't mean criminals go in there. I mean, the system is criminal. and they fly a Christian banner. You know, our governor's Christian. He even said, I can't believe it come out of his mouth without him grinning and laughing off his ass, falling over from giggling so much. He even said that he would uncover injustice wherever he found it. Boy, isn't that a joke? Joke's on you. He thinks you're funny. And he thinks he's out of office. He's going to get by with all this stuff. If I ever get anywhere close to power, have any power, we'll do a little investigating on Mr. Bill Lee and maybe put some cuffs on his hind end, throw his ass in the slammer. And we'll be Christian about it. We'll do it legitimately and give him a Bible while he's in jail, because that's what he deserves. The thug that he is. And all you all people that are Republicans, what a joke that is. I'm not talking about Republican jokes. You're a joke if you're a Republican. But it's a joke in Tennessee to vote for Republican people that claim they're Republican, because they're not. Even you look at Mr. Bill Lee. And that's where the deals get worked out. The criminals that are affluent are in the governor's mansion. They don't go to the courthouse where you got to go. If you don't know the governor, ain't good friends with him, or have $1 billion or $1 million, you go to the courthouse. The outhouse is where you go. His friends, when they get in criminal trouble, if they're very unlucky to get caught, and they usually get out of it on the street level, they go to the governor's mansion. That's where their criminal stuff's worked out. In donations and gifts to the whoever's running for governor that wants to tag Republican on their name. They're as far from Republican. The Democrats in Tennessee are more Republican than the Republicans are. That's just fact, because the Democrats don't tell you that they believe in Republican values. They tell you exactly what they are. The Republicans lie to you. They tell you they're pro-life. No, they're not. No, they're not. It's absolutely a dirty lie. And there's other people that'll tell you the same thing. There's no pro-life movement in Tennessee. They don't believe that a child's life, an unborn baby's life, is as valuable as your life. They don't believe that at all. They don't tell you that. Look at the policies that they put forth. There's no, and I'm not talking about things that are what they think are close calls when the child is so deformed that it's almost dead in the womb and they have to protect the mother. I'm not talking about stuff like that. That's stuff that is debatable. I'm talking about the undebatable stuff. Republicans tell you that they agree with pro-life, and they don't. They lie to you. And there's even an organization out telling you that pro-life movement is a joke on you to get you to vote for them. That's what that is. It's the lie straight from hell. They don't care about killing little children no more than Democrats. At least Democrats tell you straight up they want to do that, make laws and enforce that. Republicans are in the closet pro-death of unborn children. They're just hiding it in the closet under a Christian banner. I mean, are you fooled? I mean, that might not be pretty to say, but you know, I'd kind of like to save as many unborn children as we can. There's nothing wrong with people valuing life, even if you are pro-choice about the mother. Can you hate somebody that would love to encourage people to have a child and let the baby have a chance of living because I'm pro-life? You shouldn't hate that, even if you're pro-choice. Even someone pro-choice, I would encourage them to have the child have the baby. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm for everyone's rights, even the children, but the Republican Party in Tennessee. And keep voting for them. Keep under your little facade if you want to, but it is willful blindness. As I'm telling you, you might want to turn this off now and don't expect God to answer your prayers anymore, because you don't know. The Republicans aren't Republicans in this state. We just had a Republican in this state that our governor, you're fixing ready to get another one, that wears the same shoes as the Republican Party in Tennessee. People think this state's red. I've had people make fun of me because I talk about how dirty the judiciary is to vote them out. And they say, no, I'm glad you pointed out who to vote out. Now I know who to vote for. Keep this state red. What a joke you are. This state isn't red. This state's not red. It's not a Republican state. They lie to you, tell you it is. And if you believe that, then you believe in abortion on demand too, because that's what the Republicans in Tennessee believe. They certainly do. You can tell in the policies that they put forth. They're not pro-life, and not in the least bit. They lie to you about that to get your vote. You look at a red state would be pro-life and have policies that put forth pro-life agenda. They don't do that. They don't do that. They would support the President of the United States, who is the highest ranking Republican in the office in the United States today. But they don't support his agenda. They go absolutely against it multiple times, even after our president, who's not real bashful, maybe he needs to work on that. He's a little bashful. He don't tell you what he thinks. He usually does. I'm just joking about that. He's very, very truthful, blunt president, but he is a political animal. He has spoken out against our Republican governor in the past for endorsing political candidates that he does not want to win. Other candidates in opposition to what Bill Lee endorses. Bill Lee's endorsed somebody, and he has went against who the president has endorsed for public office in the state of Tennessee. And the president spoke out against him. He called Bill Lee, the one that works out the criminal offenses of the billionaires and the rich people not in your outhouse, the courthouse, in the governor's mansion, sitting on the leather and the expensive decorations. That's where their criminal issues get worked out. If they even get that far, that's where they don't go to the courthouse. If at all necessary, their lawyer goes there and represents them in their absence, because they're in the governor's mansion working out their crimes. That's how that works for them. That doesn't work for you. You'll go to the outhouse. You'll go to the shithole and get shit on. I'm just telling you the truth. It's not real pretty. You might want to subscribe, because if you think that you fly right, you don't break any laws, you want to end up in the courthouse. And I've had people tell me that. And they say the only reason why you're in the courthouse is because you commit crimes. I've never committed a crime that deserved me going to a courthouse. If I was speeding or something, I would have mailed the fine in, which they let you do for minor crimes like that, but I don't commit crimes. The reason that I have been arrested was because I'm speaking the First Amendment, using the First Amendment, speaking out against the government. Can you hear me speaking against the government? In America, we're supposed to have that right. Do we? Hell no. Your First Amendment right's a joke to them too. It's a joke to them. They rig it up to where they say that you've committed a crime, and they get your mugshot to bash you all over the United States when you haven't done anything. They've committed a crimes in falsely arresting you and using force against you. I know I was a police officer. I know how much force you're supposed to use. They intentionally tried to hurt me bad, and they did. I didn't commit a crime. Why was the charges dismissed? So their criminal charges are worked out in the governor's mansion, in fancy, lush hotels that many of you could never afford, where the press is not welcome. I mean, I can show you videos of people in the press trying to record their Supreme Court unjustices meetings where it ought to be open to the public, and they won't let them film. They arrest people for that, and then dismiss the charges because there was no crime. And if you think that you won't be in one of Tennessee's courtrooms because you fly right, you obey the law, then you are sadly mistaken. Because if they need a number to solve a crime to make themselves look good, then they will charge you with whatever they want to. If they're low on funds, they're never low on funds, but if they want to pay off some extra people, want a few more dollars for their retirement, You'll be in there on a civil case that you didn't owe paying them money. And if you say, well, I got a contract, they'll rewrite the damn contract. That's literally happened. I'm telling you, if you are in America, you are subject to violation of the Constitution by the corrupt, dirty Tennessee courts, both being incarcerated or drugged to court from another state, especially if you're in Tennessee, or financially, they rob all of Americans with their student loan bank, that they get millions and millions of dollars all across the United States. And they do this from your courthouses. I call them outhouses, your outhouses in the state of Tennessee. And so, am I being clear enough what I think about these courthouses? So they're nasty, stinchy, scum places made and built for you to take away your rights from you. And even if you abide by the law, you might find yourself there, them taking your rights away from you. And you can hire their attorney to try to protect you, but just remember, it's their attorney that you're hiring. You're hiring a double agent. Now, that's not something I made up. I'm not talking conspiracy theory or stuff that I'm just making up to sound dramatic. You pick up any criminology textbook, society and criminology textbook, and you'll come across a section, has a whole lot of research involved in it, where they study what's going on in courtrooms. And there is a huge amount of literature and information about when you hire an attorney, you're hiring their attorney. Factually, you're hiring their attorney because they are members of the bar. So they are bound by the rules of the court, not your rules. They want your money, and they will tell you. Now, you see all these attorneys commercials, and it's real funny to me, where they act like they're against the system, and they tell you how bad police are and how bad jails are and how bad these criminal charges are. And they show you pictures of police officers beating people up and doing bad things, and they're here, call me if you need me, and they're fighting against the system for you. Do they ever tell you if they got a bar card that they're officers of the court, that they're a member of the bar, the judge is a member of the bar? It's not stuff I'm making up. It's called the courtroom work group too. So they're not fighting for you. The commercials say they are. They're commercials. They're used car salesmen. They're snake oil salesmen. They don't fight for you. They can't fight for you. If they did, their bar card would be taken. They wouldn't be a lawyer anymore. They tell you they'll fight for you so that you'll believe that they are. They're the best liars in the world. You know, they're lawyers to get your money, and then they go in there and do what the court wants them to do. And there's research, scientific research. This is not hyperbole or conspiracy theory. This is scientific science, fact. It's not a bunch of bullshit. I'm just telling you the truth. You don't have to listen to it. You can say bullshit all you want to. Go into court and your attorney will be one of the first ones, according to scientific research, and or your wife, with information from your attorney, to convince you to plead guilty. Your attorney does it, not the judge, not the prosecutor. The attorney you hired to fight for you is one of the first person in studies done that will convince you to plead guilty. So the attorney you hire that's got those commercials, he's gonna fight for you, will get you outside the courtroom after they find out about your charges and explain to you in great detail why you should buy that used car that the transmission's getting ready to go out. Even if you know, hey, it had a leaked transmission, or I wasn't guilty and I should fight this. I shouldn't admit to something I didn't do. I mean, just good God-given common sense. Fight it. Yeah, there you go. Some people scare the hell out of me. They're fans of it. That's Criminology 101. Your attorney, news for you, newsflash, I'm not making this up. Studies been done, recent studies done. Your attorney is a double agent. He tells you and puts out commercials he's going to fight for you. He's not going to fight for you. He's going to convince you to go along with the court system, to go along with courtroom work group. That's what your attorney's going to do. Well, he's taking your money, a hell of a lot of it. And maybe if he's real good friends with the judge, and you pay him enough money so the attorney can pay for the judge's reelection campaign, so the judge, your attorney, can help the judge lie about how constitutional he is, then maybe you might be able to buy a dismissed case. If you got, I mean, it's going to be expensive, but you got to pay for it. It's a lot. It's not one of these cheap attorneys from out of state. It's one that knows the judge, that contributes to his political campaign. It's a hell of a lot of money, because the judge has got to get some of the money and the lawyer's got to get a bunch of money. And you don't get out of a crime you didn't commit. Now listen to what I said. You don't get out of a crime that you didn't commit in one of their outhouses without a heck of a lot of money. And I guarantee you it's more than me or you can afford. You get the lawyer's skill. You say, oh, you get the lawyer's skill? Yeah, you get the lawyer's skill on you, talking you into pleading guilty. That's what you get. And they'll sell it to you like a used car with transmission going out when you see the fluid all over the ground. They're good at that. They do it every day, all day long. That's what they do. They're not there to defend you. They're there to make you think that they fight the system. Listen to the commercials. Oh, that dirty cop, and if you need me, I'm here for you. And then they go in there and it'll be shocking at first till they get into their plea pan spiel that they say thousands of times a year, and you'll plead guilty to a crime you didn't commit, and he goes and buys himself a newer fancy Beamer, or his kids or family or his entourage, or a bigger, fancier house, and then he'll take a taxi ride from you and not even give you a tip. That's people don't trust attorneys. They're double damn agents. Why do you think they won't license me? Because I believe in the Constitution. I believe there's a judge higher than the judge that sits on the bench over here, and I said bench, not the other word. But you know, I mean, I'm just saying. I try to keep this a Christian program, but we got to tell the truth about stuff. You can't fix it if you don't recognize the problem. I see the problem. I'm trying to convince you to see it now. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me whether you believe it or not. I'm going to put it out. I'm going to put it out. Enough people will. And there's enough smart people in America, I believe, to say, wait a minute, enough's enough. At least we're going to rebuild the courthouses where we go in there and get our money taken. We go in a nice place to be instead of marble floors that stinks, that's over 100 years old. They don't want to rebuild the courthouse because they ain't there. They're somewhere else, living high while you're going to their outhouse holes. Now, I had an outhouse when I was growing up. I remember coming back from it one time. Had a snake grab hold of my pants leg, and I was dragging along running. It finally fell off. You can ask my sisters. But yeah, we had an outhouse in the backyard. And they got an outhouse today. It's called your local courthouse. It's where you go, and you know what they do. So you can look at my screenshot. I mean, the toilet paper's there. That's what those places are for, to take your rights away. The double agent is there to convince you to plead guilty so they can take your money. And that's what they do. That's what those places are for. So I want you to picture the courthouse as an evil place, because I want you to picture it justifiably, rightfully. It's an evil place. It's a place where your Constitution gets trampled all over. It's a place where they laugh at soldiers that fought to protect that. It's a building designed to run over soldiers that fought for a Constitution, for everybody's right. You won't have it in a courtroom in Tennessee that way. You won't get equal justice under the law in a Tennessee courtroom. It's not going to happen. If you live in a dream of facade, then you'll get woke up when you get your letter in the mail, and if you don't go, you don't know what it's about, you'll get a police officer at your door, and if you don't open it, they'll kick it down and stick a damn gun in your head and drag you to the outhouse and find you guilty of something you don't know what in the hell they're talking about. And your attorney, the double agent that he is, and maybe your significant other, will talk you into pleading guilty to stuff you didn't do. And you'll be on probation, paying fines and court costs for a hell of a long time. And then after it's over, if they need you again, don't worry. They won't call, they'll kick in your door the next time. So, Tennesseans, Americans, have you had enough? Do you believe what I'm telling you? So we've had other candidates that have spoken out against the judiciary and the court system in Tennessee. None as unbiased and straightforward as I'm telling. This is unbridled news. Subscribe, help us out. Send a donation. We're putting the truth out to power. And it's dangerous work. This is dangerous work. I've already been beat up and put in jail for speaking out against the government. I don't say anything criminal. I'm not wanting to beat them up. I wouldn't dare do that. I'm wanting to vote them out. Point out who they are, and raise awareness to challenge their legitimacy. They're not legitimate. They don't rule according to the Constitution. They lie to you. The governor in Tennessee is not Republican. Even the president called him a rhino, and even after he called him a rhino, he still chose to endorse somebody that Trump endorsed. And the person Trump endorsed said that we're at war with the judiciary. But he's not elected anymore because your governor that promised to uncover a wrong and correct it wherever he found it just covered it up, and your governor that flies a Christian banner just didn't care about Christian values, about the Constitution, because we don't get the Constitution from the government. It's good that's written in there. Your constitutional rights are from God. The Constitution just acknowledges your God-given rights. So when they start walking all over them, you don't have to allow the government to kill you. You don't have to allow that. We can fight back, and I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about voting. Vote these trash, dirtbag, disgusting people out of the outhouse. Let's build some new courthouses, symbols of real justice, the same lush, polished, great buildings that they do their injustice in and get out of crimes. Let's build our courthouses that way and have real justice. Welcome, welcome, just come on in. So we got a few people in here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. So, let's see if you can hear me. My mic's on, yep. So, we're talking about the outhouses. It's a courthouse. Disgusting facilities put to take your damn rights away from you. Take your constitutional rights from you is what the courthouses are. And we're gonna show you a map of some courthouses in Tennessee where some pretty disgusting things happen. And it's not only the judges at the courthouse, it's the prosecutors who violate people's rights, violate confidential rules, violate Brady laws, and do no time. You hear about people getting out of jail 20, 30 years later for a crime they didn't commit after scientific evidence proved that. How do you think they got put in jail? You think they just magically wandered down to the courthouse and turned themselves in? Or you think a prosecutor trumped up charges knowing that they wasn't guilty, but it was a big case and they needed to solve a murder, so they find you that did it and trump up charges and get you convicted. And then by the time they find out 30, 40 years later you couldn't have done it, scientific evidence has proved that, the dirty prosecutor done retired and gone, and they never prosecute the prosecutors for the heinous, sick crimes that they commit against humanity. You don't hear about them getting prosecuted. That's a crime. What they do is criminal activity. What they do is stomping on the blood of soldiers, running over people's constitutional rights. So if you think you got a courthouse that administers blind justice, that serves an important function of providing for public safety, of administering justice, well, you look, we got a woman that got the benefit of a hearing. After 30 years, she murdered somebody brutally, and they're still listening to her in that courthouse. That's not justice. Somebody being put to death that should have been put to death about 25 years ago. That's your nasty, stingy, corrupt, dirty, pathetic Tennessee courthouse and Tennessee judiciary. And I know these people. 18 years in law enforcement. I went to court more than most people because I was very dedicated to protecting human lives. And I arrested a lot of people for drunk driving, and I tried to be easy on them. A ride to jail, and that's good enough for me. The court system is the one that hammered it to them. I wouldn't give you a nickel for any of them. They ain't worth it. And I went to law school and sat in the law school classes. Was in the top of my class learning the law, but they don't use the law. They don't use the law. If you think you go in a courtroom and you can argue the law, you're sadly mistaken. They go by a shifting scale, moving the goalpost, getting the money, extracting money out of you however they need to get it. There's no law in a Tennessee courtroom. That's disgusting. That's a joke on you. They hope you believe that. They hope you believe there's justice there, because that's how they get by with it. That's how they get by with it. They have a semblance of honesty and legitimacy while they're robbing you blind. And they have to have that semblance of honesty and legitimacy. That's why they go through the procedures. Now, the procedures are just a checkbox because they're not real. They call it due process. What they do is you have a hearing and they check that off, but in the hearing, they talk you into pleading guilty and take your rights away from you. It's just a checkbox. It's not really a due process hearing like they teach you in law school, where you have adequate notice and a hearing before an unbiased tribunal. You're not going to get any of that. You're going to get the courtroom work group. The lawyer that goes in there works with that judge all the time. He's part of their work group. He works with the prosecutor all the time. They sit in their offices and joke about the damn fools that believe in justice in America, and have their little cocktail parties together, buy expensive stuff from your money, defend yourself by crimes you never did commit. If you think I'm exaggerating, I'm probably not using strong enough language to describe these people, how dirty and nasty they are. That's injustice. And I'll back it up biblically. It's not a new phenomenon. If you haven't been fighting it, that's why it's going on so long. Left to itself, people in government power will run the hell over you. And they already are. It's been left to itself far too long. And here we go. Vote. Voters of Tennessee enraged, voters of truth enraged. We need to fight these people back. It's a fight that's worth having. Hopefully you'll join me now instead of later when you're in a jail cell with a metal commode and not enough toilet paper, and they won't even give you a Bible. So, and you'll have several cellmates in a cell that's not big enough for one. And then maybe you'll say, hey, well, maybe I should have listened to him. And then maybe you can't help you. It might be too late because they won't give me a law license, because I would have defended you to where you wouldn't have been in there in the first damn place, using facts and law. And that's why they don't want me to be a lawyer, because I won't put up with their public corruption. Didn't then, when I was in law enforcement, won't now. And that's why I'm out here on the sidewalk instead of arguing in one of their crooked courtrooms, because God wants me to fight them from out here instead of having to listen to crooked judges find you guilty when you didn't do a damn thing. So let's see if we can get across the road without getting run over. We got a few people in here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to talk about cases in the Bible where this has went on. I'm going to show you some pictures all across state Tennessee where rapes have gone on from judges in the courtroom. And that's all that's happened, the ones that I'm going to tell you about, because they investigate and they uncover every judge that's ever raped anybody in the courtroom, and they've all been prosecuted, so you can go in a courtroom safely now. You believe that? I mean, I said that as a joke. There's judge rapists in Tennessee courtrooms selling sex for verdicts, rulings in your favor right now today. Which courtroom, we don't know, but I guarantee you they're there. And I'm going to show you a map of where they have been, and that's just the ones that we know about. If you think I'm overly dramatic, I told you I know these people. I've worked around them, went to law school with them. They sicken me. They make me want to throw up. Now, while not every judge is dirty, they are part of a corrupt, crooked system that is dirty, or they wouldn't be a judge. They have to kiss the ring. So if they're not dirty, they're part of a dirty system. So what good is it? And the system facilitates crime and criminal activity in that building over there. That's one of the worst buildings in America, is your county courthouse. More disgusting than an outhouse. They're worse than an outhouse. I call them an outhouse to give you a picture of what they are. Is your Tennessee courtroom. And all across America, your American courtroom. Disgusting, nasty, pathetic, criminal places, not criminals going in there. The people that are running the damn place are criminals. Now, who says that? You ought to subscribe to me just because I said that. Because who else says that? I'm telling the truth. Now, I pray a lot for my safety, health, protection, well-being. I have a lot of people praying to protect me, because I'm saying a lot of stuff that's true, that's dangerous, because those people try to kill me. So, you know, I hope that don't happen. How long I'll be on here, I don't know. I know this stuff's dangerous. I know it's dangerous, but that's my forte. That's my calling. You might not have anybody else do this. So subscribe to the channel, help support it. Let's get this message out. It's the truthful message. I'm bearing truthful witness against those thugs in that courtroom right there. That's one of the most dangerous places you could go. Right there in that courthouse, where Sharman Tissue Allen administers injustice to you all with her slick tongue, lying every day to you, endangering society, letting her friends get out of drunk driving arrest, and convicting you to the nth degree of the law for having a beer or two, or maybe stone cold sober, as they have been doing. And that's just a fact. That's just a fact. Nobody says it because it's too damn dangerous. So I would appreciate your prayers, and I try to be safe. Subscribe to the channel, help us get this message out. So, Sharman Tissue Allen and Good for Nothing Nichols, he still works at that courthouse there. He was a prosecutor who was appointed by the governor. And the governor also appointed him, and they appointed Richard Baumgardner, who raped women in that courthouse right there. Now, you couldn't have got in that courthouse and stopped it. Your tax money with the Knox County Sheriff's Department would have stopped you from stopping Baumgardner from raping women right there in that back hallway. So your tax money is going to protect judge rapists and prosecutors that lie to get you prosecuted. Now, I know Good for Nothing Randy Nichols, and I think he's a pedophile because of gaslighting And that's a basis to say that, and I think that's true. Now he's a sheriff's deputy. He retired from the prosecutor's office after the governor appointed him to prosecutor, and then he got elected. They take the office, and then, yeah, you're already in the office, we'll elect you. Notice how that goes. And then after he retired, a lady, I wouldn't call her a lady, a woman in his office took over the helm that's putting you in hell, wrecking the ship, and Sharman Tissue Allen, and now Randy Nichols retired, and the sheriff, who is now indicted 8 years after the fact, because he would have never been indicted when Randy Nichols was in office, because him and Randy Nichols was friends. Now 8 years later, after he's not in office, the same sheriff that hired Randy Nichols after he retired from the prosecutor's office, covering up for rapist judges. Randy Nichols covered for rapist judges in that courthouse over there. That's just a fact. And he accused people of being a pedophile that weren't, and even took it back under oath. So that leads you to believe, why would he do that? Maybe he is. I mean, it's called gaslighting. So that's a basis to say that. He shouldn't have never gotten in a fight with me if he didn't want me to come out fighting, because I'll fight like hell with the truth. And I'm just saying this to protect you all. And if you don't want to hear it, turn it off. Hey, God hears me. He trained me. They trained me to fight them. So thank you very much, Randy Nichols. I went to their law schools. I know how to fight them. They just ain't never seen a real fighter that don't play by their dirty rules. I don't play that way the way they do. I'm not a crook. I'm not a criminal. I've saved lives before. I got a higher judge to answer to. That's a judge of the less powerful, the God in heaven. And so the sheriff that's being indicted now for stealing drug fund money allegedly, he hasn't been convicted yet, but he's been indicted by a grand jury, is the man who hired Randy Good-for-Nothing Nichols, possibility a pedophile, now working for the sheriff's department. So that's who's over the sheriff's department with legal authority to go talk to a judicial commissioner, sign felony warrants on you, and charge you in your house, stick a gun in your face, and drag you down to the courthouse. And he's got authority to do that. And that's what you're looking at. Is that okay with you? I mean, do you think I'm lying? Hopefully I'm not. Because hopefully I'm lying, but I'm not lying. I'm telling you, you don't have much of a choice but to listen to me. There ain't nobody else saying this stuff except for Charles Van Morgan. I'm not being overly dramatic. I'm telling you the facts. Look it up. Richard Baumgardner, who was in the prosecutor's office when Richard Baumgardner was raping women in that courthouse. And that's not the only courthouse that happens at. You look at the courthouse in Kentucky. Just recently, now there's been accusations made about the judge in that courthouse. Now the sheriff in that county in Kentucky, the sheriff shot the judge in cold blood in his chambers. And there has been allegations, serious allegations, I've heard them by multiple women, that the judge was running a brothel in the courthouse. What do you think went on here in Knox County? What do you think went on here? And what do you think goes on in other places in the state of Tennessee? You think it's clean as a whistle? Or you think some foul play might be going on? I think there's some crooked stuff going on, is what I think. So it's not unheard of, what I'm saying. It is very likely, and it happens routinely. So, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about I'll show you a map with some crooked judges all over the state of Tennessee, not counting Kentucky. So like, share, comment. And the remedy, we're going to tell you the remedy at the end, hang on, is to go vote. The remedy is to vote. Make sure there's no snipers or dangerous work. That's the remedy, is to go vote. So here is a picture of Tennessee courthouse judge crimes in the state of Tennessee that we know about. Rape cases, where judges in Tennessee have raped people. Judges. And this is just what we know about. It got so bad that the Board of Judicial Conduct, other than relent completely their legitimacy, they have to find fault in these people and hang them out so that they can maintain some semblance of legitimacy. Maintain the appearance of it. Now, I didn't say that they were doing right, because your courthouse is an outhouse. I said they had to maintain a semblance of some of it. So here's your map of some of the corruption that we know of across the state of Tennessee. That's just a small part of it. Tennessee courthouse judge crime. Documented case examples. Here is Dyersburg, Lake County, all the way on the west end of Tennessee. Judge David W. Lanier, sexual assault in chambers, convicted federal civil rights crimes. All the way in Memphis, Judge Ira Murphy, mail fraud, perjury, obstruction, convicted. Middle Tennessee, Davidson County, Judge Casey Moreland, obstructing witnesses, tampering theft, pled guilty. Knoxville, of course, the case I know about, Judge Richard Baumgardner, official misconduct, concealing drug conspiracy, pled guilty as state court conviction federally. David Boyd in East Tennessee. Daniel Boyd, forgery, criminal simulation, bribery, indicted. So, and then up the street here in Kentucky, the judge up there is accused of and was assassinated of running a brothel out of the courthouse. So this stuff isn't like, wow, that can't be true. Well, I'm just saying. And that's cases that we know of that they've had to prosecute, or rather their legitimacy just goes to hell, and they got to maintain a certain amount of appearance of legitimacy so that they can get you to the outhouse to get your money, to get an attorney to convince you to plead guilty. And so that's what they do. And an election is not a deed to my rights or your rights. So let's get this straight right off the bat. Now, even if they're elected judges, even if they are on the bench, I'll just say, even if they're on the bitch, because that's what they do, they complain, then they still, we have a constitution that they're supposed to honor. And election is not a deed to our rights. It's not a free pass for them to get us down the outhouse and take us our rights away. And a judge, whether elected or appointed, however wrongfully, is not supposed to become the governor's lawyer in a robe. See, these judges are appointed by the governor initially. So he appoints people that will rule according to his Christian values. He's a good man. What a joke that is. They'll rule according to what he wants and take your rights away. If you're in the upper echelon, your hearing is in his mansion, and your lawyer goes to court for you. You never go to the outhouse, which is courthouse. So just because they do all that doesn't mean that takes our right away. Even an elected judge We still have constitutional rights. All I'm saying is stand up for them. Courts where corruption gets legitimized. A robe is not a crown. Look at the building. Look at the courthouse. Stones, columns, flags, a seal on the wall, a judge above the room. They designed it to command respect. They tell us this is justice. But buildings don't create justice. People do. And people can corrupt it. And they damn sure have. I'm sending out the alarm, giving the message out. You can do with it whatever you want. I know what I do. I try to vote them out. They build a temple out of stone and tell us justice lived inside, but the scales above the doorway put a black robe on the pride. But marble cannot tell the truth. A gavel cannot make it so. And when power protects power, that's something people need to know. A robe is not a crown. A gavel is not God. You don't own my rights because you won an election, a fake fraudulent election. You don't own my freedom because you got an appointment. You can sign your name, you can issue your order, but the Constitution stands above your power. A robe is not a crown and government is not our king. Elections have limits. Here's something politicians need to understand. You won an election, congratulations, however fraudulently it is, through lying to be a Republican in Tennessee. You say you're a Republican, you'll get a lot of votes just because people mark Republican, because you fooled them pretty well. Well, I'm out to dispel that false belief. It does not give you my constitutional rights, even if you fool people. I didn't vote for you, and it doesn't matter. My rights don't depend on whether I support you. Majority rule has a wall, and this is the whole reason. We have constitutional rights, government has power, but power has a boundary. The majority can elect a governor, the majority can elect legislatures, but an election does not erase constitutional limits. The Constitution is the wall around the individual. You don't have to be an elected official. You didn't win me, you won the office. You didn't win me, you won the vote. You didn't buy me. You got the mansion, you got the title, but you never get a deed to my liberty. My rights were not on the ballot. A robe is not a crown, a gavel is not a God. Winning an election doesn't make you absolute. Getting an appointment doesn't cancel the Constitution. You're governed under law, you judge under law, supposedly, but they don't. We have every right to call it out. How Tennessee appoints them. And this is what we're going to get into. Understand this machinery. For appellate vacancy, appellates come forward. A judicial council screens and interviews them. A judicial council appointed by the governor, and then names go to the governor for them to kiss the ring. Whoever kisses the ring gets the job. And then the General Assembly has a confirmation roll, and then appellate judges face the voters through retention elections. They don't even have anybody running against them. That's power, and power deserves scrutiny. And I'm telling you right now, they're crooked as hell. Almost every damn one of them. If they're not, they're in a crooked system right now. Trial courts are different. Trial judges are generally elected by the people of their districts. 8-year terms. But when a vacancy happens in the middle of a term, another commissioner screens applicants, sends nominees to the governor, and the governor makes an appointment. So don't tell me politics and judicial selection never intersect. They plainly do. Appointments do not mean you work for the governor now, but they think they do. Once the judge takes the bench, the judge's duty is not to the governor, not to the Republican Party, not to the Democrat Party, not to prosecutors, not to state agencies, not to powerful lawyers. The duty is to the law and the Constitution, that they step all over. So, the judiciary in Tennessee is crooked as hell. And They abuse their power and run over Tennesseans. So we're talking today, if you're just joining us, hit the subscribe button. The courthouse is an outhouse where your rights are stripped, not only of guns, but of your constitutional rights. Somebody don't like me trying to make noise. Powerful people will get their cases. If they get into the system, they usually don't, heard at the governor's mansion or Haslam's house. That's where rich and powerful. They don't go to the outhouse. You go to the outhouse. That's what a courthouse is, where you go to have your rights and your money stripped away from you. Maybe even your children taken away from you. Not by law, by a dirty judge in a robe that has a semblance of legitimacy. The rich people go to the governor's mansion or Haslam's house. That's where the law is applied to them, where they get a free ride. Haslam appointed judiciary, Leeds appointed a judiciary, and that's who these judges rule the way the governor wants them to rule. That's what's done in Tennessee, and they're not Republican. The president has called them rhinos, Republican in name only, and he even chose another person to be in the Tennessee representative that the president wanted to keep as a representative, and that representative was Andy Ogles, that said that we are at war with the judiciary in the state of Tennessee. Haslam and Mr. Lee don't want us to be at war with the judiciary, because we'd be at war against them, because they are part of the judiciary. The judiciary does whatever they tell them to. And the judiciary belongs to them, not you or the Constitution. Judges' retirement comes from funding you while finding you guilty while you're innocent. That's where the judge's retirement comes from. You go down there innocent, you think you'll hire a lawyer to straighten it out, they'll find you guilty, and that's where the judge's retirement comes from, fines and court costs. If they find you innocent, there's no fines and court costs. So they find you guilty. And I'll show you, this is Sociology 101. A study done years ago, backed up recently, shows that the judiciary is crooked as hell. How many people already know that? Is crooked as hell, and they find you guilty when you're innocent. And here's a study. So you hire an attorney that says they fight for you, and you'll hear them on television all the time, putting out commercials, talking about how bad police are. And seen one the other day, he was talking about a police slamming somebody up against the wall and how dirty that was, and talk about how bad the chief of police is somewhere, and talk about how bad the system is. They never run down judges because they can't, they're not allowed to. That's a violation of professional rules of conduct to speak out against the judge that's committing a criminal offense. You can't do that. But they'll speak out against the police and everybody and their brother to make you think that they're fighting the system. And they'll tell you about how dirty the cop was, and they'll say, if you need me, call me. And you think, well, I got somebody that's against them. They're not against them. That's a facade. That's a show. You never hear them talking about the judiciary. I'm talking about the judiciary. The judiciary is the problem. Let's talk about the judiciary. The judiciary benefits off your demise. They find you guilty for court costs and fines. And I've got 18 years testifying, 5 years law school with these judges, been in classes with them where they taught classes. I've met them, I know them, and I know the law. It is not for you, it is for them. For you is a changing, moving goalpost to get you to plead guilty to a crime you didn't commit. And that's what these lawyers that brag about how they fight the system until you need them calling you think you got an attorney that will fight for you. Well, let me show you Sociology 101 that it is popularly assumed that police, through forced confessions and the district attorney employing still other pressure, are most instrumental in the indictment of an accused to plead guilty. So you think that the prosecutor is opposing side and the police forcing a confession, not the attorney. He just told me he hates cops. That's what he said, ain't it? There was a study done, and it's been replicated. They asked criminal defendants, who is the first person that suggested to you that you plead guilty of the crime that you're accused of, whether or not you're guilty or not? Who is the first person who said you should plead guilty? You'd think the police and the prosecutor. No. The first person that suggested overwhelmingly that you plead guilty was the attorney, a member of the bar, the double agent, that said that he's fighting the police, he's fighting the prosecutor, he's a fighter, and if you need me, call me. He's going to be the one that says you need to plead guilty to this. That's science. I mean, they're double agents. They're not for you. They're in the courtroom work group. Look at this right here. It says, person who suggested you plead guilty. Defense counsel, first person suggested plea of guilty. See that? First person suggested plea of guilty. Defense counsel, 407 times it was a defense counsel. The first person told you how to plead guilty. Not the judge, not the district attorney, your own attorney, the one that's going to fight these people, telling you to plead guilty. Influence the accused most in his final decision. His defense counsel. See, your defense counsel, one that's going to fight for you, is telling you to plead guilty. 411 times it influenced you. First person suggested 407 times. The second person, highest, is fellow inmates telling you to plead guilty. The attorney's going to tell you to plead guilty more than fellow inmates. So, and the third is the fellow inmate. First is your defense counsel. Second is fellow inmates. And third is the district attorney. So your district attorney is safer than your attorney, the one that's going to fight the district attorney for you. It's going to suggest for the district attorney, for the courtroom work group, that you plead guilty. So, yeah, get you an attorney. They'll get your money and talk you into pleading guilty to a crime you didn't even commit. That's the system. That's at the outhouse. Meet them at the outhouse downtown, that old building. It's made for them to go use that toilet paper on you. So get you an attorney. I know these people. I know the attorneys. Now, you will find some good. That's not every one of them. But for the most part, that's how it's done. They are trained to act like they're going to fight for you, and they get you down there to the courthouse, and they've got their spiel about how serious the charges are and about how hard jail is, and they may introduce you to one of the inmates that's, you know, some big guy, and say, well, you know, we can get you no jail time and a big fine, or maybe a few days in jail at the county, not the big place where bad stuff happens, if you plead guilty. But I didn't do it. And they'll sell that to you while you pay them to sell you and to convince you to plead guilty. You say, I follow the law. I stay out of courtrooms. No, you won't. If they want you, they will trump up charges and drag you at gunpoint down to that courthouse and extract money out of you and or your freedom when you did nothing. And if you say I didn't live in Tennessee, they'll drag you to Tennessee if they need to solve a case. And so listen, it's worse than what you believe. This system's worse than what you believe. It's a corrupt system. The Long Island audit the other day, I've been watching that show. He is a First Amendment auditor. Many of you might know him, Long Island auditor. Now he's going through a case right now where he was arrested for trespassing. And he went on somebody's property and there was no trespassing sign. There was a private road, no turnaround sign, but that's not no trespassing. Obviously, that doesn't count. And there's case law that he points out that he wasn't trespassing. So, I had a no trespassing case when I was in law enforcement. We had somebody at Southern Avenue Apartments, and this ties together, just listen to me. We had somebody shooting out car windows with a BB gun. They shattered a bunch of them. Drove out there to the parking lot, it was at night, in the middle of the night, and there were car windows busted all over the place, BB shots in the seat. So somebody was driving around there, shooting out car windows with a BB gun. So I saw a truck it was, that was heading out of the parking lot, and it was marked no trespassing. It was heading out of the parking lot real fast, so I stopped the truck and talked to the people. They said they didn't live there. Got them out of the car and found a BB gun under their seat. I charged them with trespassing and with vandalism. I went to court over here, and the prosecutor told me, hey, that's a losing case. But I felt good about the charge because I think that they did that, and there was no trespassing sign, but they got the case dismissed. I didn't actually see them shoot out the windows, and they had a no trespassing sign, but in order to have a no trespassing charge, and this relates to the Long Island audit because he's thinking something that I'm going to dispel this myth, and we'll find out if I'm true, if I'm right. But he was charged with trespassing. So in order to be trespassing, you have to be on notice that you aren't supposed to go on that property, a no trespassing sign that you see and continue going after you see it, after you got notice, then you're trespassing. If there's a no trespassing sign and you don't see it, so it's clearly posted but you don't see it, then you're still not trespassing because you got to see it. So the police literally have to, even if there's no trespassing sign, that's what people don't understand. Now, don't go trespassing on people's property saying I'm telling you the law, because depending on what dirty judge you got. But legally, you have to be on notice. And if you don't see the sign, even if it's there, you're not on notice, so you're not trespassing. And you don't have to testify, so you don't have to see it. So a no trespassing sign is not enough to convict somebody of trespassing, even a no trespassing sign. That's not enough. You have to prove that they saw it. Maybe you got a video saying, that says no trespassing, I'm gonna go do it anyway. But if they walk right past the no trespassing sign, you can't charge them with trespassing. What you can do is stop them, get their name, and tell them not to come back, and then they've been notified, and then they come back, you know they've been notified. But trespassing, you have to be notified. But, so a sign is not enough. Just because you walk past the sign, if you didn't see it, you're not trespassing, you have to be notified. So they actually have to notify you, unless you admit that you've seen the sign, and then you've been on notice because you're admitting you've seen it. But in a criminal trial, you don't have to testify, so they can't make you admit that you've seen anything. They have to prove that you've seen it, and there's no way they can read your mind. It could have been right there and you didn't see it. So you're not trespassing just because you've seen a sign. But in that case, in Corrupticut, I think he calls it, the city he lives in, I think it's in New York, he went to a person's house to ask them questions as a journalist, a state trooper's house. And there was a no trespassing sign, but it was knocked over in the woods. Even had it been there, it wouldn't matter, because he would have had to admit that he's seen it. Now, he testified, and they could ask him if he's seen it. And he could, if you agree to testify, you can't plead the fifth, so it would have been better if he's seen it to just say he didn't. But it was in the woods, and if y'all been watching that case, people don't like me being here. Good luck with that. So, the case is about trespassing. And he's arguing that the trespassing sign was in the bushes, knocked over, and you didn't see it. The police and the prosecutor are saying, they charge him with trespassing, are saying that the private road no turnaround was a no trespassing sign. That's not a no trespassing sign. Private road doesn't mean you can't walk down the road. It's a private road. You're not supposed to drive down there and turn around. So that's not notification of no trespassing. So he's arguing the law. That's my point. He's arguing the law. And legally, he's right on. He's not guilty of any crime legally. And this is the facade that people have. He's not guilty of a crime at all. The sign was down, so there's even a likelihood that he didn't see it. And even if it was up and he didn't see it, he's still not trespassing. But my prediction, and he's waiting on the ruling from the judge, because he's arguing the law, is that the judge will find him guilty. Because the law don't make a damn bit of difference when they want to get you for something. Doesn't matter. Legally, and I've got a doctor of jurisprudence. I know the law. I've been in courtrooms. I know how things go and how they're supposed to go and how technically things work. And technically, legally, there is no way on God's green earth that he should be convicted of trespassing. For one thing, he couldn't have seen the sign. It was down on the ground, taken off the post, overturned where it wasn't visible. The second thing, even if it was visible and he didn't see it, they still can't charge him with trespassing. He has to be warned first. He wasn't warned first. They could have warned him that time, okay, you were here, but if you come back, then we'll arrest you. But they went ahead and arrested him for trespassing. That's not a crime. He should be legally found not guilty. But you mark my words, and they're waiting for the hearing to come back. And if he wants to talk to me, he will be found guilty, my prediction. Because the only thing I can think is maybe his huge audience will protect him. But he's not guilty of any crime legally. In any sense of the word, he's not guilty of trespassing. Based on those two things. But he'll be found guilty. Why? Because the judge does, usually a lot of judges, they don't go by the law. They don't use the law. That matters nothing. I've got a doctor of jurisprudence. You can take my legal education, throw it in the river down here. It's whatever the dirty judge wants. And they want a higher retirement and more benefits. And if they say not guilty and you walk out of the courtroom, there's no court costs and fines for you to pay into the retirement system. Now, I hate to say that, but that's the way it is for you right now. And I'm glad to get the truth out. To get some semblance of justice, we have to get enough votes to put political pressure on these people to force them to abide by the law, because they're not right now. They don't have to, and they're not going to. It's human nature. They benefit. They've rigged the laws where they benefit off you getting convicted. And then to get pressure on them to win or put pressure on them, then they won't give you justice. You have to demand it with political clout, which is, I'm on the ballot, subscribe to the channel, give me donations to help me get the message out, to put pressure on these dirty judges to have to do the right thing. They're not going to voluntarily adjudicate according to the Constitution. I predict that the Long Island audit will be convicted of trespassing, although he's not guilty of it in the legal books, I don't think. The only thing I can say that'll save him is his high degree. He's got over 1 million subscribers. So, news media gets a free ride. They're not going to help you. That press is not going to help you. Because public attention. So the news media doesn't get arrested, convicted, because public attention, because they don't want judiciary and police don't want bad press from the news media. So press does matter. This matters to them. They don't like what I'm saying. They're paying attention, trust me. Pressure on the news media. News can make them look the way they are. They run an outhouse, a shithole. We need to point that out. They're not going to straighten that up. They don't go there, you do. They sit behind the bench and take your damn money. They do the real judicial shit at the governor's mansion or in plush buildings. Subscribe, help me put pressure on the governor. Because the governor is the judge over Tennessee. That's the ring they kiss. Attack their illegitimate rules, tip the scales. We don't have to win the whole election, although we're trying. All we have to do is tip the scales, put enough pressure on them to where they know people are paying attention. People smell the stench from outside the door. And the courthouse, I want you to see it the way it is. It's an outhouse where they go to shit on you, take your rights away. And they can't put everyone in jail. They can put me in jail. A lot of people say, hey, what happened to him? We know what happened to him. They can't put everybody in jail. If they get enough disrespect and disdain, I'm not saying break the law, but enough people challenging them rightfully, legally, justifiably in courts and voting against them, they'll start trying to do right a little more to help us be able to have the First Amendment to even put the gospel out, because you can't even do that now. Lack of trust in them because they are not trustworthy. That's what I'm trying to do. Put lack of trust in them because they're not trustworthy. I'm not lying on them. I'm pointing out the truth. Hear me? So, this is to be understood of the false prophets. Yet will they lean upon the Lord, pretend to trust in him, and expect his favor, protecting, blessing, and say, is not the Lord among us, and our God, and our shield? None evil, such as war, famine, and captivity come upon us, while we have him with us to defend and help us. No, they won't defend and help people that are defrauding Tennesseans out of the Constitution. And that's what they do. Matthew Prull's commentary. This is predicted in the Bible. This is what they did then. This is what they're doing now, unless you fight them. The verse is word for word the same in the former part of it, the former part of the verse of this chapter. We refer thither for explication of it. The prophet, having asserted his divine call and about his faithfulness in prophetic office, Matthew 3:8, he here gives us one more proof of it, dealing roundly with the magistrates in both kingdoms, Israel and Judea, that abhor judgment. These judges in the state of Tennessee abhor judgment. Whereas judgment should be their great delight, as if it were every good magistrate, these had hearts and detested it, were weary of the directions of God's law and their piety, and hated to be controlled by it. They hate the truth and perverted all equity. Your Tennessee judges, where you wrest the law to countenance your unequal proceedings, and wrong those you should right, and acquit those you should condemn, and there is many a woe denounced against such. So we got a case just the other day. They're letting a demonic worshiper who brutally murdered somebody in Knoxville have a court hearing. 30 years ago, she murdered somebody, still in their courts, still having hearings, still getting by, not getting executed, that she deserves. The mother of the person wants her executed. Doesn't that sound, and pervert all equity, where you can wrest the law to continuance your unequal proceedings, and wrong those you should right. They should right the victim's mother, and acquit those you should condemn. It's the same as acquitting. Justice delayed is justice denied. 30 years later, she's still having her day in their unjust court system. They're acquitting those they should condemn, and there is many a woe denounced against such. These people are evil. Rulers and prophets condemned. The Bible condemned them, not just me. And I said, I pray you, O heads of Jacob. I pray you, O heads of the state of Tennessee. You princes of the house of Israel, is it not for you to know judgment? They've been to law school. Is it not for them to know judgment? They know it. They know what they're doing. Who hate the good and love the evil. These prosecutors enjoy prosecuting innocent people. Guilty people, it's way too easy. They can do that all day. They want to prosecute innocent people. They want to put you in jail. You think it's justice they're after? No, they're evil, wicked people in these courthouses. It's worse than what you think. They hate good, and they love evil, who pluck off their skin from off them and their flesh from off their bones. Malachi 3, who eat the flesh of my people and flay their skin from off them, and they break their bones and chop them in pieces as for the pot and as flesh within a cauldron. Then shall they cry unto the Lord, but he will not hear them. He will even hide his face from them at the time as they have behaved themselves in their doings. Thus saith the Lord concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry, peace, and he that putteth not into their mouths, they have even prepare war against them. They say peace while they're trying to fight you. They say we're just Tennessee judiciary. Well, they let a murderer live for over 30 years and have her in the courtroom while you pay the bills, and then find you guilty. Therefore shall be ye unto them that ye shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you that ye shall not divine, and the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Then shall the shears be ashamed, and the diviners confounded ye, yea, they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer of God. But truly I am full of power by the Spirit of the Lord, and of the judgment, and of might, to declare unto Jacob his transgression and to Israel his sin. I'm declaring to the state of Tennessee and Governor Bill Lee is wrong. Then shall the seers be ashamed, and the dividers confounded. Yeah, they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer of God. But truly I am full of power by the Spirit of the Lord, and of judgment and of might, to declare unto Jacob his transgression and to Israel his sin. Yeah, I'm telling them the business. Hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob and princes of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity. That's what they're doing. They build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with inequity. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divide for money. Yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, is not the Lord among us? None evil can come upon us. Yeah, it will too. Therefore Zion for your sake shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and mountains of the house as the high places of the forest. So they get people convicted by giving false testimony. You know, it's not a new phenomenon about false convictions. It brings to mind the false conviction of the Lord Jesus Christ. You know, he went through a fake, false criminal trial in front of Pontius Pilate. Innocent, perfect Jesus, and was convicted and sentenced to death on the cross. Now, he did it willingly, but your courts in the earth convicted him of crimes. They got false testimony. God's law forbids bearing false witness and demanded 2 truthful witnesses for capital cases. In Jesus' case, the leaders were unable to find genuine grounds, actively hunted for lies, flagrant hypocrisy in a court meant to uphold justice. The bribery of Judas and later the guards shows a pattern of manipulating truth against Jesus Christ, the only perfect man that walked the face of the planet. They manipulated justice. They sought false witnesses. Manipulated examinations. Pilate, Herod, even the Sanhedrin itself found no fault in him. Now, this was a court proceeding back then. You can plug it in today. Works just the same way, except for we're not perfect like Jesus. If they can find him guilty, they can find you guilty too, and they do. Jesus fulfills Isaiah 53:9. He hath done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. He didn't do anything wrong. His spotless character exposes the darkness of his accusers. Hello. John 3:19. In order to put him to death, the goal was not justice, but execution. But they didn't know it's fulfilling Jesus' own prediction. And that's the same thing today. It's not fulfilling justice. In order to put him to death, the goal was not justice, but execution. The goal is them stealing your money, taking your property, taking your constitutional rights under a Christian banner. From early in his ministry, leaders plotted his death, yet their malice unwittingly accomplished God's sovereign plan of redemption. Now here's the thing. Matthew 26:59 reveals a courtroom turned upside down. Those sworn to defend truth conspire in lies to destroy the truth incarnate. The verse exposes corrupt leadership, highlights Jesus' innocence, and points to God's redemptive purpose even through human sin. You'd think if they did it then, they won't do it now. Pilate found no guilt in Jesus. No credible evidence supported the political charges. I'm talking about Jesus. Went around healing people, feeding people, raising the dead, doing miracles. That was the only perfect man ever lived on the face of the earth. He was convicted in a courtroom on the earth. Pilate found no guilt in him. No credible evidence supported the political charges. Political charges. Roman legal standards require factual proof, which was absent. Herod's separate investigation concurred in Jesus' innocence. Pilate discerned the leaders' ulterior motives. See, they had ulterior motives to persecute and torture and execute Jesus. Jesus' own testimony and conduct showed no threat to Roman authority. I'm no threat to Tennessee authority, no threat at all. I don't argue to overturn the government through violence. I argue to overturn the government through votes, through putting political pressure, through getting the truth out. Thus both history and theology confirm the spotless Lamb, legally exonerated by Rome, was nonetheless defended for the sins of the world, fulfilling Scripture and securing redemption for all who believe. Well, there's a lot of assholes out here. Think their truck is fine. I hate they can't afford nothing better than that. So, the charges presented. The accusers list 3 political indictments. Subverting our nation, forbidding paying taxes to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king. Each is crafted to portray Jesus as a threat to Rome. Yet earlier in Luke, Jesus taught to give Caesar what is Caesar's, and his kinship is spiritual. So he had done no wrong. Pilate's judicial examination. So I'm talking about a perfect man convicted on the earth in the courts of this world. And they're doing this today. They convict an innocent man. You don't think they'll convict you? Roman governors use a formal inquisitio, interrogation of the accused, confrontation with accusers, assessment of evidence. Luke report Pilate questioning Jesus directly. Finding no seditious intent, Pilate publicly announces acquittal. The lack of witnesses or proof vindicates Lex Jula de vi publica, which required substantial testimony for capital cases. They didn't have it in Jesus' case. You see what happened? They crucified him. Herod's independent inquiry. Because Jesus was a Galilean, Pilate transferred jurisdiction to Herod Antipas, tetrarch of Galilee. Herod's soldiers mock Jesus but elect no confession of treason. Herod returns of Jesus without finding him guilty, forms a second legal attestation that he was not guilty of any crime. Perfect man not guilty, accused in a courtroom in this world, and you want to trust courtrooms in this world. Perfect man. They do it in America today. Your courtrooms are crooked as hell. They're outhouses. You got to fight them back. Don't give them undeserved legitimacy. Don't trust them. They're not trustworthy. I'm a testimony to that. I'm trustworthy. They're not. Jesus was trustworthy. He was exonerated and they crucified him anyway. Roman legal standards in the verdict. Roman law presumes innocence, just like America, and demanded tangible evidence of crimes. High treason. Pilate says, I have examined him, no basis by Roman criteria. Wow. So he hadn't committed any crime. Roman legal standard presumed innocence and demanded tangible evidence. Pilate states, I have examined him, no bias, no crime. He had raised no army, collected no taxes, issued no illicit against Caesar, advocated no violence. Hence Pilate's declaration found no guilt, nothing deserving death, would punish and release. The offer to scourge was a political compromise, not legal legitimacy. Political pressure and crowd dynamics, still going on today. Pilate knew it was out of envy. The leaders delivered Jesus. The chief priest stirred the crowd. Fear of accusation to Caesar. If you let this man go, you're no friend of Caesar's. Pressured Pilate into a pragmatic rather than a just decision. It was politics. Crucifying the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, God allowed him to do that. It's part of his plan. Thank the good Lord in heaven, he submitted to that. He didn't have to. But that was a court in the world, finding the only man perfect in the world. You don't think they'll find you guilty in their corrupt courts here in the state of Tennessee? I damn guarantee you they will. This is what we're up against. So, prophetic and theological significance of Jesus' innocence. Isaiah 53:9 foretold the servant had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Anticipates the mocked, righteous sufferer. The Passover lamb had to be unblemished. Jesus' sinlessness fulfills this type. Only a spotless sacrifice could atone. Pilate's public affirmation of innocence inadvertently authenticates Jesus as the sinless lamb. Peter, he committed no sin. Paul, he knew no sin. John, in him there is no sin. Jesus did nothing wrong whatsoever at all, exonerated by multiple leaders, exonerated by apostles who witnessed his sinlessness, convicted in this world in a corrupt court system. It goes on. It will happen to you, happen to Jesus. Corroborated evidence. The Pilate inscription from Caesar Maritima, discovered in 1961, confirms Pontius Pilate as prefect of Judea, anchoring Luke's chronology. Josephus and Tacitus record Jesus' execution under Pilate, establishing external attestation, almost verbatim, showing textual stability. Pilate found no guilt in Jesus. No credible evidence support the political charges. Roman legal standard required factual proof was absent. Herod's separate investigation concurred Jesus' innocence. Pilate discerned the leader's ulterior motive of envy. Jesus' own testimony and conduct showed no threat to Roman authority. Thus, both history, theology coverage, the spotless lamb, legally exonerated by Rome, was nevertheless offered for the sins of the world, fulfilling Scripture and securing redemption for all who believe. Now, Jesus Christ was the perfect sacrifice who voluntarily gave up his life. But it does not lessen the fact that a court in this world found the most innocent man guilty and crucified him. And that stuff is still going on today. Psalm 82, God presides in the great assembly. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. And how long will you judge unjustly except the person of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk all on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Did you hear that? All the foundations of the earth are out of course. What part of that you don't think the injustice system, the outhouses, are out of course? I've said, you're gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. So the psalmist here is crying for God to judge the earth, because there's not justice now, calling for judges to defend the fatherless. They don't do that. They accept the person of the wicked. That's what they do. Right out of the pages of the Bible. What part of Christians don't understand this? Just because they fly a Christian flag means they're trying to deceive you, holding something that you'll believe that they are honest people when they are not. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the person of the wicked? It is indirect stated that the magistrates had been unjust and corrupt. They not only excused the wicked, but even decided in their favor against the righteous. That's what they do in Tennessee courtrooms. It's a facade of justice. A little of this is too much, a short time too long. Some suitors could get their claim settled at once and in their own favor, while others were wearing out their lives by waiting for an audience or robbed by a legal process because their opponents had the judge's ear. How long were such things to be perpetrated? Would they never remember the great judge and renounce their wickedness? The verse is so grandly stern that one is tempted to say, surely, and Elijah's here, Selah, this gives the offenders pause for consideration and confession. The psalmist contains an admonition to the chief rulers of Israel, whether judges or kings or their great council or other, to all the rulers of the several nations of the world to whom this word might come, as there may be a gathered party from the expressions here used, which are general and not particular to the governors of Israel, and therefore not rashly and necessary to be restrained, and partly from the last verse where he mentions the whole earth and all nations is concerned in the content of Psalms. So the psalmist exhorting and expositing with the judges, reproveth their want of judgment and negligence, and prayeth the Lord judge. Now that's what he does in the Psalms. The Tennessee judiciary is crooked. We have to stand up against them. We have to fight these people with everything we got. Standeth as a judge diligently to observe all that is said or done, and to give sentence accordingly. The judge sits when he heareth cases, but standeth up when he giveth sentence, or standeth doth not note the posture, but only the being or presence of a person. Whence this Hebrew word is by some learned interpreters rendered as present, and by others presideth as the word is used. So, we have the courtroom work group that preside over this travesty of justice in the state of Tennessee. And convict innocent people. And you could be next. So, let me show you what we need to do. And I will answer some questions. If you want to ask me some questions and give you the end of the message. Let's see what we got here. If anybody wants to ask me some questions, now's your time. Because let's see here. It says, actually, I can answer questions on my laptop. Let's see what we got here. And we got some haters in here. Haters hate. Yeah, that's all right with me. You can hate all you want to. God's on my side. I won't fear what man can do to me. The injustice system is crooked as hell. And I'm sending out a warning. So, what would you like to share? I don't understand that. Little thieves make big extortion scammers later. That's right. No, he was checking out the bag full of stolen goods. He checked out that girl. Liars make big liars later. Wicked minds. We fell onto earth in the bodies. What's wrong with a pot smoker? Okay. If you want me to answer your questions, send a chat, a gift, and I'll answer them. Otherwise, your mute is on. Is it on now? Okay. So, this could go on forever. Okay, sorry about that. It went. It's a good place to get your. Okay. So, if you want me to answer a question, send a gift. Charles, you're right. The system is crooked and people have turned into demons. That's absolutely right. Thank you. Thank you. I'll send myself 100. Yeah, it won't let me. And so you're absolutely right. And thank y'all for coming. We got 81 people in here and 118 likes. Let's get 119, let's get 120. And let me tell you what we can do about this mess is not surrender. No white flag. Let me turn this around here. So no white flag. I'm not going to surrender my conscience to I'm not going to surrender my conscience to a government title. I will not call a man honest because he won an election. I will not call a man dishonest because he lost one. I will not call a ruling true just because a judge signed it. I will not call power just because power calls itself justice. Because it's not. I guarantee you it's not. So as you see the beautiful sun spear, let's see if you can see it. Okay, I turned it the other way, it's that way. Look at a beautiful sun spear. No white flag, no need to corruption. So don't bow to corruption. No, that was an evil look. Final card. A courthouse can have marble walls, flags, seals, armed officers, lawyers, judges, politicians, and all the power government can muster, but none of them own your Constitution. The courthouse doesn't own the Constitution. The Constitution owns the courthouse. And when the courthouse forgets that, we remind them, no white flag put up for the government. Well, let's look at some stuff here. Well, we got some time, we got a few viewers about the elections in Tennessee and changing the subject. Now, Eric Swalwell, the former Democratic congressman from California, is on the news today because the FBI raided his house. He resigned from his position and was running for governor, and then pulled his run for governor. He was resigned from Congress and abandoned his California governor campaign after allegations became public. And he's been accused, not convicted, of raping women. A Democratic man, and he got votes and he's won an election. Three women have accused him of other sexual misconduct. Former staffer says Sawyer had two non-consensual sexual encounters with her, and this was somebody who was elected into office. So I don't feel intimidated just because I don't win votes. I haven't won them because I've been on the governor's hit list. So it's no shame that we haven't won elections to this state. I'm an honest person. And evidently he's not. And let me talk about, when I ran for office in 2022, there was a woman who is a racist against white people, and she got on my Facebook page and she started running me down on my Facebook page. I could care less. I mean, it really doesn't bother me. If you want to run for public office, you ought to have thick skin. Evidently she doesn't, because I bother her. She's all over my Facebook page, and she ran for public office and got second in the leading votes in independent. There's only one other candidate got more votes than her running as independent. Got like 10,000 votes. Constance Avery, I didn't say her name, and she's on my Facebook page running me down. I mean, good, that gives me attention. I'm not afraid of her. And she got 10,000 votes. I got like almost 2,000. But she was arrested and convicted of a crime. So that's the measure of some people. And she got a lot more votes than me, you know, but I'm arrested and convicted of a crime, so that doesn't intimidate me. And just because I didn't win more votes than she did. Of course, the government's after me, try to suppress my vote. They do all the time. And then the leading independent candidate, I'm just talking about people running me down for running, saying I didn't get many votes and me not getting much attention. That doesn't bother me, doesn't matter. The people voted to release Barabbas and crucify Jesus. So, you know, public opinion's not always right. So, the leading independent candidate in the 2022 race got about 15,000 votes. And he got in the governor's race because of the wonderful things he does know. Because of the fact that he got a divorce and he got an adverse ruling from the judge in his divorce. So he got mad at the judiciary because in a divorce he didn't get what he wanted. So he was mad at the judiciary, running on judiciary corruption, and ran for governor against the judiciary. And obviously I'm running against the judiciary, but that's not the same reason I'm running against the dirty judiciary. I'm running against the judiciary for you because they're crooked, they've mistreated you, not just me. Because I didn't have a bad experience in a divorce. I had a bad experience while I was a government official protecting the public and saving lives, and they endangered the public by taking me off the road. So it wasn't personal. It's not a vendetta. It's about public safety protecting you. It wasn't a divorce. So he claims, the leading independent candidate, and these people that, they're better than me. I mean, you know, they can get all the votes they want. They lie. They lie. And people believe them. Go ahead. We'll keep putting out the truth. Maybe it'll catch on. I hope so. If it don't, I'll still tell the truth. I'm still fighting a good fight. This guy, more votes than any independent candidate. He said he was a Republican, constitutional Republican, and he's not. He was running independent. And he don't know what the Constitution is. He never studied in law school, I don't think. But he said he was an unlicensed attorney. Never went to law school, never passed the bar, but he's an unlicensed attorney. I asked him about that one time. Because he's a little guy, about 5'2", and little fella. And he said that when he wrote briefs, when he sued people in court and he wrote briefs, he said that the bailiff, who's not an attorney either, is a police officer. It's got maybe at the most 4 months in law enforcement training. All yours go to school for, you can do it if you go full-time in 3 years. And after you have a bachelor's degree. So it takes 7 years at a minimum to get a law degree, which he said he was an unlicensed lawyer. You've never been to law school, didn't have that 7 years. Never had any legal law school, and he didn't pass the bar, but he's an unlicensed attorney because he said that the bailiff told him that his briefs were better than some lawyers. The bailiff told him that. The bailiff wasn't a lawyer. How would he know? I mean, I don't know. But, so he classified himself as an unlicensed attorney. Now, I have been to law school, graduated from law school, passed the Tennessee bar exam twice. So if anybody's an unlicensed lawyer, I am. And now he got more votes than anybody, for a lot of people. A lot of people that put out information against the government endorsed him. And they do a lot of research, put out a lot of bad stuff about the government. I'm thinking, do you not research the people that you're endorsing? And the man says he's an unlicensed attorney, never stepped a day in law school. How do you get there? I mean, you know, they make up their own laws. There's another guy that, I'm not going to say his name, but he sues the state and says he does it for the public and he acts like a lawyer, and he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. It's really absurd what some people vote for. And the fact that they don't vote for me as of yet, it's no skin off my teeth. Doesn't matter to me. It means I didn't get their vote from stupid people, or they didn't hear about me. And that's who they're voting for. And, you know, you put my credentials beside them, I blow them off the map. So I'm going to turn in my credentials and line, I'd get more votes. Another man that got more votes than me, this is the competition. It's getting more votes. It's the reason why I'm not humiliated. And he got just a few more votes than me, a little over 2,000, is a white supremacist. He put up a sign that said, "Make Tennessee white again." Now, that's disgusting to me. And he got more votes than me, and he's a white supremacist. Now, Constance Avery is a black supremacist. She's a member of Black Lives Matter, who's a racist organization. So you know, these people that have in the past gotten more votes than me. Well, I don't have a lot of money to get a message out, and I'm not a liar. And I make a lot of people mad. So, you know, you can get over, you can put on your glad pants. And also, the government, people in government power, are suppressing my vote. Put me in jail during campaign time, when I could have been passing out flyers and getting people to vote for me. I was incarcerated wrongfully. The charges were dismissed. So they don't have the government suppressing their vote and putting them in jail wrongfully like they do me. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not getting a heck of a lot of votes, and I'm not intimidated by that in the least whatsoever at all. And hopefully we'll do better this time. The last time I got votes in every single county in the state of Tennessee, except one I went to early, in upper northeast, far east Tennessee. And we'll maybe go back there, spend a little time more, small county, and try to get some votes up there. So, but I got votes in every county. This next Thursday, got an appointment with the Police Benevolence Association to try to convince them to endorse my candidacy. And that's not the only way we're fighting. We're fighting the corruption in the state government, the court system, the outhouse, at putting out information on this channel and other channels and my Facebook page. Check out my Facebook page. I put information out on that. And we're also on the governor's ballot, and knocking on doors. I've knocked on about 40,000 doors in the past few years, and still fighting regardless of the vote count, because it's the right thing to do to back them off. And there'll be a tipping point where we'll start getting votes and start getting attention and start getting support. And when that comes, I don't know. You can help by subscribing to the channel and contributing, and watching is the main thing you can do. And subscribing, that way you'll know when we have a show. I usually have one Monday, Wednesday, and Friday about in the morning. I may have to start having one a little later. I get up a little earlier than I want to. And we're also fighting them in federal court. Got a federal civil lawsuit against them, trying to get my law license where I can represent you in a court of law, which they won't allow me. And maybe I'm better off out here on the street, as stingy as the courtroom is. So the other candidate is a white supremacist. The other one got more votes as a black supremacist, a convicted criminal. And it's on my Facebook page trying to run me down. And the other one says he's a lawyer when he's never been to law school, mad because he got mistreated by the court system in a divorce case. So that's the people that are getting more votes than me. I mean, okay, you know, go ahead, but I think that will change. So support the channel. I'm on the ballot November 3rd, and so we're going to fight like hell regardless, and try to beat these people down. Try to get some justice in a Tennessee courtroom, and we'll come back on here maybe Monday, and if there's other news, we will come live and show live on the scene what the heck's going on if news comes up, and fight this good fight, and fight these evil people that are crooked as hell, that are mistreating you in government power. And so thank y'all for joining me. We'll get the heck off here. God bless y'all. And Charles, you are the best. Thank you. I appreciate that. And you can also help by contacting all. Call them, knock on doors, whatever you can do. Contact everybody. However you want to do it's fine, and tell them Charles Van Morgan's on the ballot, representing the mass populace of Tennesseans. And if you know anybody in the PBA, call them and tell them to ask them to endorse me. And we support the mission of the Police Benevolence Association, whether they endorse me or not. A great organization that's out for the safety, health, protection, well-being, and benefit of the public. So I'm behind that organization 100%. I would like for them to endorse me. I don't know if they will, but maybe we're going to go talk to them next Thursday about 3:30. Maybe film it. I don't know. We'll see if they'll let me film it live and talking to them. So they sent me a list of questions. They're real easy questions to answer. They're one of the better organizations. Usually get real complicated things that take you a long time to figure out what they're talking about. But it is real easy questions, so I applaud them for making it real simple. It's like, do you support the mission of the Police Benevolence Association? It's like, hell yeah, I do. I mean, they're out for the safety, health, protection, and well-being and defense of people that protect our lives on the street. That's not a hard thing to figure. I endorse them. For governor of Wisconsin, isn't that where they signed a pro-abortion thing? Yeah. So yeah. Next Thursday, 3:30 right in Nashville, we're going to talk to them, and they're going to have several other candidates and try to get their endorsement. And we get to go give our message anyway. They said I was cordially invited, and I told them about that. I've had letters where I was cordially invited, and then I disagree with something they say, and then they get all mad. So I don't think that's going to happen with the Police Benevolence Association, but if it does, we'll leave and go on. I speak what I think is right, the truth, and as given to me by God and the Bible and the way I see things in my pretty long life that hope to be more. And I'm not going to kowtow to anybody and beg for votes. If they want a vote beggar, they better look for somebody else, because it ain't going to be here. I'll tell them the truth. But I do support the Police Benevolence Association, and I do appreciate what they do. And we'll ask them if they'll let me film. I don't know, or might film myself going in. But thank you all so much for showing up today. And I pray God blesses you all. And I always remember, you know, God's got this thing under control. He expects us to fight and pray and fight. And prayer is the best way we can handle things. And I pray every day. And but pray and fight, and always remember, God's got us. God loves you, and I do too. And that's an important thing we need to remember. But we still got to fight and do what's right. So I hope y'all continue to join me, subscribe, share, and we love every one of y'all, even people that don't disagree with me. I pray for your soul. I pray for your soul. This world's temporary. Your soul goes on. The government's always going to be crooked. We just need to fight them off so that we can spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, because they're taking our First Amendment rights away. And we need to be able to share the gospel. I was literally arrested sharing the gospel and running for office. So we need to fight them off to be able to spread the gospel. So Christians, you know, I'm offering to provide a government for you that will let you speak freely the words of the Lord Jesus Christ, who was convicted by the government wrongly. And if you think for 10 seconds they won't convict you for spreading the gospel, you're wrong. They will. They do every day in these nasty courthouses. Now, God's put me here for this time, this place, to spread this message as long as I can. And I don't know, I mean, the heat's on. They'd like to kill me. I hope that they don't. Pray for my safety as I pray for yours. I pray for the safety of my children. And our mission is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. That comes first while we're among the living. A blessing we won't have while we're in heaven. And run for office and try to make it a government to where Christianity can prosper legally and legitimately, where you can put out the gospel. You can't right now. You really can't. They're making laws against it. And trespassing laws and ways where people can kill you and get out of it. And their crooked courtrooms are going to incarcerate you. And they're flying a Christian banner. And I don't know their heart, but I can tell you they're not Christian people running this government. And the people that they put on these benches, they've sold their soul to the devil. They're not Christian and they're not good people. Now, I don't know their heart. I don't know their heart. But I know the results of what they do, and it's pretty destructive. So let's see a few more likes on here, a few more subscribes. As long as we got over 50, we'll stay on here, putting out the truth. I invite everybody, if you haven't accepted the Lord Jesus Christ into your heart, pray and ask God to forgive you and come into your heart and save you, the Lord Jesus Christ. The man that I just talked about that was perfect, the only begotten Son of God, that got convicted of a crime that he never committed any crime by the government on this planet Earth. By a government in power, and our government is in power now. The government's in power will convict you too. It's not changed, and we're not going to win that. We just got to fight them off. If they will convict Jesus, you don't think they'll convict you? These people, their conscience is seared. They're crooked as hell. They're dirty and wicked. So we went less than 50, so we'll get off here. We'll try to be back on here if news pops up during the week, during the weekend. Have a great Friday. Have a great Friday. A great weekend. Remember, God loves you. Have fun and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Lay up treasures in heaven, not on the earth. And God's got us. God loves you, and I do too. Until next time, thank y'all so very much for joining.